Hello everyone, Michelle here. Today we are going to talk about deployment servers and learn how to use the one we have here in the CIS lab. A very brief introduction as to what a deployment server does. It enables you to deploy operating systems over the network instead of directly from a CD or DVD. Some benefits of this include support of deploying images for mixed environments, or, in other words, the ability to put multiple operating systems on one server and then copying that image to other machines. Also, you can transmit data and images by using multicast functionality, or you can image multiple computers all at once. Now we're going to head over to the lab and take a look at our deployment server. This is our deployment server in the CIS lab, and the components here are the actual servers. The top is our router, and then these are the actual servers underneath. The two monitors on top, the one here is the actual admin monitor. Whoever's the actual administrator of the server would use this monitor to change things, do whatever they need to upkeep the server itself. And then this is the client monitor, so whenever you're putting images on a computer, you would use this monitor to do that with. The keyboard and mouse here go with the administrator monitor, and then there's a keyboard and mouse down here at the bottom that you would use whenever you're actually imaging a computer. There is a switch right back here. It's a small one. I think it's maybe just a 4-port, so we could image up to 4 computers at a time. Those cables come out and go down here, and then all the other cables come down here, kind of a mess on the table, so that you can put your computers down here and image them. Not a real big setup, but like I said, our main goal here is just to be able to image computers here in our own lab. Now it is time to hook up a computer and get it ready to image. You have 2 Ethernet cables. You've got 2 power cables. You can do 2 computers at a time. You've got your 1 monitor, and you've got your mouse and your keyboard cables. So plug in your monitor cable, and then I do the Ethernet cable next, and then mouse and your keyboard after that. And then I always choose to do the power cable last, because with the power strips there's always other things plugged in, so the power is always on. And that's it. After you get everything plugged in, you will start the computer and push the F12 or F9, or even on some computers it is the delete key, to bring up the boot option menu. The menu should look similar to this if your computer is newer, or it may look more like this if it is an older machine. If you start up your computer and you don't have the option to boot to a network, then you will need to go into the BIOS and set that option. So you will select Enter Setup on your screen and go into the BIOS. This is a newer computer, so your BIOS will have the option to use a mouse, and your BIOS should be similar to this. On this particular one, I think my option is somewhere in the BIOS features. You may have to search around a little bit to find it. So we'll go in there, and you're looking for something like LAN or Pixie, or just something network related. So in this one it's LAN Pixie boot option, and you'll see that it's disabled. So we'll take that and enable it, and then you go over to save and exit. You'll save it. Click yes. You'll reboot. And then there's your option to boot to the network. It's that simple. Now let's actually put an operating system on the computer. Starting at the boot menu, we will boot to the network. Once it boots, you will need to press F12 for Network Service Boot. It will be at the bottom of the screen. It flashes really quick, so you have to be looking for it, and if you miss it, you will have to reboot. On the next screen, choose the Microsoft Windows Setup. times 86. It's the top option. And press enter. This will get you into the server. At this first setup screen, you're just going to click on the Next button at the bottom. When the Connect to Deployment pop-up comes up in the username and password, you can usually find that on the dry erase boards in the lab. Currently, the username is deployment with a backslash and then CIS. The password may vary. That one will be on the board. So you'll fill those in and then click OK. Next, you will choose which operating system you want to install. These are all of the operating systems that we currently have. There's quite a few in here. I'm going to put Server 2012 R2 Standard on this machine. As you can see, we've got multiple different versions. Right here's the standard. Once you have highlighted your operating system, just click Next. And then on the next screen, you're going to need to delete your hard drive partitions. On this machine, the hard drive is split into 2 partitions. Click on the Drive Options Advanced, and then select either partition and click Delete. You will get a pop-up warning and just click OK. And then select the other partition, click Delete, and click OK. And now it's just showing one partition. Click Next and the install will begin. It won't take nearly as long as it would with a disk, depending on how many computers are connected to the network. With just one on our little deployment server, most of the time it only takes about 10 minutes or so to completely install an operating system on a computer. Once the operating system is installed, you will go through setting it up. The product key can be found in our DreamSpark book, which looks like this, and usually resides near Mrs. Todd's computer or somewhere around the lab. This notebook has product keys to all of the software we can use in the lab and on our personal machines for educational purposes only. Once you find the key for the software you have, you will need to put your name and the date by the key that you've used. Click Next once you get the product key entered, and it will check that it is a valid product key. The next screen is the license terms that you should read, but here I go clicking Next. On the password screen here, I always set the administrator password as the lab password, just in case Mrs. Todd or someone else needs to access my lab machine. After that, there's some final work that the machine needs to do, and then you're ready to go. You now have Server 2012 on your machine. Now we get to install Hyper-V and virtual machines on our Server 2012.